What's up, YouTube? We back again with the first installment, the first episode of the conspiracy segment, whatever. We'll have a name for it. We're going to have a name for it if we do more. We're going to do more because I'm big into conspiracies, you know what I mean? Not saying I believe them all, not saying I don't believe any of them, but I definitely give my energy towards them, you know what I mean? Kind of opens up your mind to various possibilities of existence, and multiple things that go on around us. And it's very important to be in tune with everything that goes on around us, okay? So this one is courtesy of none other than the conspiracy goat, the conspiracy legend, the conspiracy king, Nick Hinton on Twitter, at Nick Hinton on Twitter. If you're just in the mood for some conspiracies, hit him up on Twitter, man, and check him out. Well, you don't have to hit him up. You can just go to his page, at Nick Hinton. And he has mad threads on various... I don't even know how he knows this. You have to do this full time with as many as he has. You got to do this shit full time. But this is a conspiracy thread of the DMT dimension, and this one really drew my attention because of the medical aspect that it has into it. It kind of talks about like the function of the brain and whatnot, and it also talks about like the use of LSD to broaden the horizon and the thinking capabilities of the brain. And So let's get into it, right? So basically, I'm going to try to summarize and synopsize it, if synopsize is a word, and try to get through this pretty quickly, okay? I got some notes on my phone, so I'm just it's not all off memory. I'm not that good, right? So basically, Aldous Huxley, who is an English writer and philosopher, who has a few famous books, used psychedelic drugs, right? And when he used those psychedelic drugs, he kind of came up with his most interesting books, if you will. One of them was The Doors of Perception. I should read that. In this book, The Doors of Perception, Huxley basically says that psychedelics allowed him to perceive higher dimensions. Now, he experienced this himself, okay? He claims the brain is like a filter, okay? When it's working at its normal state, we only can perceive less than 1% of the light spectrum. Less than 1% of the light spectrum when we're functioning at normal capacity, okay? No enhancements, no psychedelics, nothing like that. When our brain is under the effects of hallucinogens, certain parts shut off, making this filter wider. Thus, it allows more into our brain, okay? Anatomy aspect of this, the thalamus, which is located in the brain, all sensory nerves go through this, okay? It acts kind of like as a filter to the higher brain, the thalamus is kind of the gatekeeper to the higher brain, right? Excuse me. Once the higher brain is aware of the stimulus, the thalamus will filter out whatever's not significant to the higher brain, okay? Which is pretty much like we just perceive like our normal day-to-day lives. So in some of these sections of the brain that get shut off are responsible for sense of self-identity, and that's why some people feel more connected to the universe, more connected to basically the environment around them, because they have more enhanceability of this part of their brain. So this is a theory. So he also theorizes that this is perhaps the condition schizophrenics are born with, right? A faulty filter, which has a few leaks, so it lets in just a tad bit more, or a lot more, depending on the severity of the condition. But after all, reality is by definition what we see, hear, etc. So who's to say that their reality is wrong, right? We perceive reality. Reality is how we perceive it. There's no written manual on what reality is and what is not normal, right? So that's pretty interesting. Like schizophrenics are not weird. You know what I mean? Like people call them weird. They might not be weird at all. They might just be normal. We might be the weird ass ones, bro. Like thinking all concrete and shit. Maybe we should be seeing stuff, man. Maybe we should be seeing hallucinations. Maybe they're not hallucinations. Maybe just our regular minds can't perceive the extensive visual aspects like a schizophrenic can, or like the auditory aspects. You know what I mean? So maybe maybe we ain't shit. So goes on to say that this is Nick Hinton talking at this point right now. I don't think Huxley ever experimented with DMT, but I still believe his research is relevant. Now, DMT is N-dimethyltryptamine, okay? But it's also called the spirit molecule, and this was by Dr. Rick Strassman. But it wasn't too popular back then. However, today people are starting to talk about it a little more. So, DMT has been pretty frustrating for scientists to study because it's highly illegal, but it's produced naturally in the brain. So we have been found to have trace amounts of dimethyltryptamine in our bloodstream, okay? So basically, how can the government, so how can the government ban something that's naturally producing? They don't want us to expand our mental capabilities? You know what I mean? First of all, the government ain't shit. You know what I mean? They're hot. Bro, aliens are real. Just tell us, man. Just give us the picture, release the picture, and then we'll go on with our lives. You know what I mean? There's other universes. Just tell us about them, bro. We don't want no smoke with the government. Just tell us what's going on and we'll be cool. We'll be cool. So how can they make something legal that's naturally producing? The same way they make weed legal. You know what I mean? That grows out the ground. As religious people say, how could you make something legal that God put on the earth for us to smoke or consume? You know what I mean? So basically, are they keeping us from trying to expand our minds? Because a lot of people, content creators, consume marijuana, which helps them creatively produce content. You know what I mean? So the government knows what the hell it's doing. The government knows what the hell it's doing. All right. So, like I said, it's been found to have trace amounts in our blood, which people theorize. So it is found in our blood, trace amounts, but people theorize that it's produced in the pineal gland. Okay, and is released. Okay, they say it's released. This is a theory when we dream or when we die. Okay, so DMT trips. Not the stuff that found in our system, which there are breathing exercises to enhance the production of DMT in your system. I don't know about all that. I breathe normally. I breathe 12 to 20 times a minute and keep it pushing unless I'm doing cardio. We breathe a little faster, you know what I'm saying? But DMT trips are said to last about 15 minutes. Not long, right? But they can feel as like a lifetime. So if you compare that to dreams, right? Dreams only last 15, 30 minutes, not that long. But when we're in them, we feel like we're in them. We feel like we're in them for a while. I feel like I said that we're in them. I feel like we're in them for a while, right? And then when we die, they say the afterlife lasts an eternity. So is this the DMT being released? But then again, I'm thinking, how can the DMT be released if we're dead? You know what I mean? Like, I guess it could be released while we're dying or the few minutes after we're dead, but it can't be continually released. I guess all it takes is that little bit to be released, and then it feels like you're there for a lifetime. So that's pretty interesting. So many people are also reporting seeing and interacting with strange beings, so hallucinations, while on this substance, DMT. Wait, where do you get this shit from? I never asked that question while I read this. So Terence McKenna, a famous psychonaut or one of who explores the mind, this is pretty funny, called them the clockwork elves. It's just like a elf sitting on a mushroom, bro. That shit hilarious. Hold on, I'm finna show y'all. Y'all gotta see this. Why is this the hallucination that people are seeing off DMT? I'm straight. Them motherfuckers are scary a little bit. Some conspiracy theorists claim that many rich and powerful people use the substance for nefarious means. They claim the DMT substance helped them communicate with higher dimensionals. And if there's one thing I ever learned, listen to rich people. They got rich for a reason. You know what I'm saying? If it was with the use of DMT, mail some DMT to me, man. If it's gonna give me a little money, man, I'll be rich off the DMT. So Another famous creator who experimented with hallucinogens and psychedelics is none other than Steve Jobs. I find it funny how Steve Jobs is the co-founder of Apple. Like, we don't ever, like, who's the other co-founder? Like, I don't never know. Like, was it his mom because it was in the garage? Like, I don't know who the other co-founder is. Anyway, he was known to experiment with LSD to kind of open up his mental capacity and open up his creative mind. And now in Silicon Valley, which is, I think it's a place in California, they say microdosing of DMT is becoming pretty popular. So kind of to open up the mind and open up the creating process. Okay. So basically, that's really it for the conspiracy. Some people are, so there have been pictures of like our pineal gland, which is said to release the DMT, right? There's been pictures of our pineal gland calcified with fluoride from fluoridated water, and fluoridated water is only produced man-made. You know, water isn't naturally fluoridated, doesn't naturally have fluoride in it. So is this another government way or a higher ups way of putting boundaries on our mental capacity and mental thinking? No, this is just me thinking. I don't necessarily believe it. If so, the conspiracy knows some. I mean, the government knows some shit. Like, what is the government? At the end of the day, bro, like, what is the government? Like, how do we not know about this? How is somebody not, like, tell their wife when they come home from a long day at the government office? They're like, man, you know how much fluoride I had to put in this water so these people stop thinking? Like, how do we not know? How does nobody slip up and say something? I don't know, man. Anyways, like I said, there's ways to make this DMT naturally occurring by doing breath exercises, bro. Like I said, I breathe 12 to 20 times a minute, and we keep it pushing. I don't know, man. I find that pretty interesting that there may be a substance out there to kind of enhance everybody's mental capacity. You know, it's just something to think about, y'all. I thank y'all for watching the first conspiracy segment. So we'll keep it going though. We'll keep it going. We'll do some more conspiracies, y'all. All right. Thanks. Peace.